build us a country that we're proud of and that preserves the values that all of us hold dear. So I look forward to working with you, and this partnership to me is because of the people that I respect so much, who I've met, people like Fred Julander and Howard Boynian and many, many, many others. The people from Southwest and many of the other groups that I've been working with, who I trust and who I think really have a strong vision for this country that really transcends their narrow self-interest about making a pile of money quick and then getting out of here. I want to continue to work with those people and all of you who share my vision of an energy-independent America and one that is built on a new energy economy. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we have time for 2 questions.
Yes, sir. You mentioned the coal subsidies, and I understood the one about the roads and the 22 inches of asphalt. Can you expand a little bit on some of the other subsidies in the coal industry?
Well, the other subsidies, the ones I'm talking about, the National Academy of Sciences just said that the health impacts, just issued a report saying the health impacts from just ozone and particulates are at least $156 billion a year. That means if you eliminated those coal plants, we'd be saving $156 billion in healthcare costs. We wouldn't need to be arguing about national health care on Capitol Hill, because we'd have the money to fund the program. If we could switch from coal to gas, we'd have the money to fund that program. So, that's a subsidy. The mercury in our fish. There's 100% of the fish, freshwater fish in the United States of America, are now poisoned by mercury. That imposes a cost on all of us. I pay $30 for a fishing license every year, but the fish have a value, in many different ways, and an economist can assess that value very precisely. But that is a value. The loss of the forest cover on the high peaks of the Appalachian. You're losing not only publicly owned but privately owned timber stands, and that imposes a cost on our society. That is a subsidy to the coal industry. I believe in free market capitalism. I think that a true free market would be the best thing for the environment, because the free market, a true free market promotes efficiency. And efficiency means the elimination of waste. And pollution is waste. And in a true free market, we would properly value our natural resources, and it's the undervaluation of those resources that causes us to use them wastefully. But in a true free market, you can't make yourself rich without making your neighbors rich and without enriching your community. What polluters do is they make themselves rich by making everybody else poor. They raise standards of living for themselves by lowering quality of life for everybody else. And they do that by escaping the discipline of the free market, by forcing, the public to pay their costs of production. If you're in a polluting industry, the easiest way for all corporations are externalizing machines. They're constantly devising ways of getting somebody else to pay their costs of production, and that's a subsidy. And it may be through federal taxes, but it may be through pollution. Because when you pollute, you're shifting your cleanup costs to the public, and you're not paying the true costs of bringing your product to market. You're making yourself a billionaire by poisoning the rest of us. And that's a subsidy to you. And what all the federal environmental laws, the 28 laws that were passed after Earth Day 1970, the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, Safe Drinking Water Act, etc., all of those were intended to restore free market capitalism in our country by forcing actors in the marketplace to pay the true costs of bringing their product to market. And what we do in the Waterkeeper movement, we sue polluters, we enforce these federal laws. We don't even consider ourselves environmentalists anymore. We consider ourselves free marketeers, because we go out into the marketplace to protect, to ensure the integrity of of America's free market capitalist system by catching the cheaters, the polluters, and saying to them, we are going to force you to internalize your costs the same way that you internalize your profits. Because whenever you distort whenever you get a subsidy, it distorts the whole marketplace, and none of us gets the advantages of the efficiency, the prosperity, and the democracy that free market capitalism promises our country. If coal had to pay the true cost of bringing its product to market, they wouldn't sell 1 pound of coal in this country. It would all be natural gas, but they're not paying for the mercury. They're not paying for the $156 billion they impose on the rest of us every year by sickening ourselves and our children and causing those million asthma attacks and those million lost workdays. But they take a chunk of that money and they spend it of those profits that they get through the subsidies, they spend it very wisely on Capitol Hill. And wherever you see a subsidy, you show me pollution, I'll show you a fat cat using political clout to escape the discipline of the free market and force the public to pay his production cost. And that's what all pollution is. And that's what the coal industry does better than anybody else. It forces the public to pay their costs of production. And what we have to understand in this country is there's a huge difference between free market capitalism, which makes a nation more efficient, more prosperous, more democratic, and corporate crony capitalism, which we're seeing, which has been adopted on Capitol Hill, embraced on Capitol Hill, which is